obviously not the result you wanted, but where did you start to see this game start to sort of unravel? Or Danny and Paul seem to think it was really after 2-0, but I don't know. Did you like the way it was going before that?
2-0. I mean, look, the second goal, yeah, kind of made it a real challenge. I would say, look, again, everything you reflect and you think about yourself first. What could I have done better? What could the coaches have done better? The first goal, Jeremiah, top of the box was open. We didn't have a guy in that area. Kalani had gone out and cleared a deeper ball. Jesus ended up marking because they overran. They overran us with 6 guys in the box. But, we need to do a better job there of, making sure that area of the field is covered. And so even that first goal just seemed to typify our night. Andrew makes that save easy. It hits Nuhu in the shin. It goes in the goal. So tough start. I thought after the goal, we played a little better towards the end of the second half. Look, we had the crossbar. We had some half chances here or there. The set pieces were good. But, yeah, it seemed like coming out of halftime, we needed to extend the game a little bit before we conceded again.
All right, we'll go next to Jada Evans. Jada, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the time. Brian, they also had a rotated squad, but their defense was a lot better than yours. Is that a matter of what do you kind of accredit that to? I mean, because you also had, changes back there.
Yeah. I mean, look, was it our best defensive game? No. Did they do enough to keep us off the board score sheet? Yes, that's a fact. But again, a couple half chances here, there, 1-1. Pedro, the one header in the box. Asaze, the one header. Maybe one of those goes in, 1-1. It's a little bit different. They had a rotated squad. We had a rotated squad. But their team made the plays. That's all I can say, Jada. We'll watch the tape. But again, if you want to, we've talked about the first goal and the second goal. Pedro maybe dribbling a little bit, and our active defending wasn't great when the guy got in from this side of the halfway line. That's why he wasn't offsides. But, even the third goal, Kim Ki-hee does a good job. I thought Kalani did a really good job on Bawanga tonight. Kim Ki-hee makes the tackle, but the ball bounces right back to Bawanga and he toe pokes it in. So it was just one of those nights.
And then as far as your momentum goes, how do you think maybe this would, kind of impact the fact that you guys had 5 unbeaten streak and, that snapped, and it snapped in a bad way in terms of for Dapper?
The scoreline certainly isn't something that we're proud of, Jada. Nobody wants to take 4 goals and not be able to put something up on the other end. We'll, again, watch the tape with this group of guys that came out. And the expectations is that this group, coaching staff and players, all of us together, will have a good game plan for Portland, our arch rival. And, we'll go down to Portland and try and collect some points.
Nico Moreno, go ahead.
Yes, Brian, thank you for your time. I was just curious in terms of, obviously you've been working with both the 4-2-3-1 and the 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1. But going back to that today, how much was that trying to kind of match up a little bit what LAFC gave you with the 4-3-3 and or the personnel you were kind of throwing out today?
I just thought the 3-4-3 matched our personnel a little bit better. We had success against LAFC with that formation. So that was the reason behind it. Obviously, it didn't work. Second half, we changed to 4-2-3-1, and I think we took at least 1 goal out of that formation. So, neither formation seemed to work tonight.
Today, you also starred Osasa de Rosario, first start. Just your takes on him. Seemed to have a hard time just getting on the ball, but maybe a lot of that had to do with the lack of services into him as well. But just your overall thoughts on his performance.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a tough outing to put him in a game with a rotated squad against a good LAFC team at home. My expectations for him, they were in line with who he is, where he's at in his career. I thought he did okay in some moments. Obviously, there's some things that I'm going to show him on the film, and he'll get better. But, big body, got some good starting points, but he just needs a little more seasoning, that's all.
We'll go to Jorge Santos next before follow-up. So, Jorge, go ahead and ask your question.
Coach, it doesn't seem so by the result, but to me it seemed like the gap between the Sounders and the LAFC is smaller than last year, or it actually disappeared. How did you feel about the game? Because it felt like at certain points, if Pedro Header had gone in, that you would be in the game. So the result seems a little bit imbalanced. And then what you thought about Stuart Hawkins and his first game?
So I'm sure Steve Cherundolo thought the same 5-2 when he played us up in Seattle. I'm sure he felt the same thing, because I agree with you. The difference between the two clubs, certainly up in Seattle and here, certainly there was a difference in the scoreline, but I think the teams are evenly matched. I think it's a good rivalry. I think, LAFC is obviously a big team, and we're a big team. And, some of the games in the playoffs last year, I mean, it's a good rivalry. So the outcome of this game, we're going to try and move past it quickly. But I agree with you that, the ball drops a little differently here. We make a play here. The game could be a little closer. I'm not saying we could have won, but certainly it could have been a little bit closer. And then Stuart, it was a tough, I talk about Asaze coming in and starting a game, but it was also a tough assignment for Stuart to come in when he did, because, the game was really stretched. And, he made a couple plays and he looked pretty composed on the ball. So overall, I was pleased.
Thank you.
All right, we will circle back for a couple follow-ups. I see two hands up. So we'll go to Jeremiah next. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
Yeah, obviously, Steph and Christian didn't make the trip, I guess. Is that just rest, or is there something else there?
Christian had played the most minutes on the squad, and Steph, it was a midweek, and he's an older goalkeeper, and Andrew is the, goalkeeper of the future. So that's the reason for the decisions.
All righty. I see one more hand up. So Nico Moreno, why don't you close this out?
Thank you. Another question about health. Yamar came off in the second half. Was that because of anything physically, or was that just a decision?
There were planned substitutions in this game. Yamar and Kim Ki-hee being one of them. Steph and Christian, seeing which one of Jesus and Pedro, which one was going to go a little bit longer, shorter, depending on what the game like in Portland is how we're going to start. Ryan Kent not playing back-to-back. We don't know enough about him. Paul Rothrock has had heavy minutes. We left him on. Maybe he comes on as a sub for Portland. So there were certain things throughout the game as the scoreline got, increased that we're looking at for Portland.
And lastly, message to the team. Clearly, one of the good things about midweek game is that you get to turn the page pretty quickly, maybe put all these frustrations into Portland. But you're curious about your message to the team after this game.
Well, obviously, I wasn't pleased with the outcome, but I can't kill that group of players because, they worked till the end. Was the quality there? Certain moments, did we make plays? No. So there is that dose of reality. We try and turn these games into teaching moments, like Osaze. What could he have done on that first goal? Kalani, what was the thought process? Making sure that the guys understood that wasn't up to the standard that we set at the club. But at the same time, I can't kill those guys. It's my decision to put that team out on the field. So I have to own Adam.